Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As usual, I'm your host, Mike. Hello. How's it going, everybody? Feeling good? Thanks. How you doing? Good. 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 If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you with us. We stream for charity, right there. If you have any questions, please put at Last Epoch Game in chat and slap a question there. And we've got our lovely helper, Fitz. It is grabbing questions for me again. Thank you very much. And I'll be doing my best to answer them as fast as possible. And in the meantime, I'm going to be really bad at a video game and play it while I'm doing it. We are attempting to finish this timeline right now. And last two times I went in there, I just got nuked instantly. So we need some health. Part of the big thing that we're missing here. Yeah, there's a lot of defensive stuff we're missing. Got to figure that out. I'm looking for a catalyst to fuse here. Looking for a better weapon. This is garbage. And we're really looking for a belt too. Right off the bat. Thank you very much, Airweird. Oh, giving that sub fits. Congrats. Well earned. I kind of want to keep going in here to like just get more gear, but I'm worried I'm going to power that one up too much. Might go here actually. It's pretty close too. We are quite under. We're only level 80. My mic is too low. Interesting. Is that better? Should be better. No bingo for you. Uh-oh. I wonder what I've already done to Rune. I very intentionally don't look at the cards. We'll see. I might get there for you. Oh no, I'm gonna butcher this name. Yep. Ulrich's Yogane? I'm gonna go with that. Thank you very much for the sub. Appreciate it. I am terrible with reading. Alright, let's do this. Are there any plans to expand on the Weaver's Will items? Maybe add more of them. They are so fun. Yes. The Weaver is not a character we're finished with. And, you know, expanding that related item system at the same time we expand the related character exploration would be logical. I don't actually know if that's what's going to happen, but I would assume so. Rives. Void damage is only from echoes at this time. Any plans to add void scaling tag? I don't know. Probably not. It's possible though. It's usually reserved for a base damage change. Void damage increases to void damage will increase that damage anyways as well, so like it doesn't need the tag to have that damage be scaled. Come on. Oh, so little, just little creeping along there. More XP. Question about echoes in the monolith, about making them more exciting to explore, not just blasting through the objective and finishing the echo in 1 minute. Have you guys talked about adding additional smaller objectives with rewards, kind of like Helldivers 2 does it? I'm going to admit my greatest shame of the year. I still haven't played Helldivers 2 yet. I know it's irredeemable and unconscionable and I don't know if you can ever forgive me, but I haven't done it yet. No. We're busy. I have been looking for a good controller game to play lately. Just gotta bring a controller, which is pretty cool. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Sort of assuming it has good controller support. But yes, back to the actual question you asked. Yes, we do plan on adding in more things to make Echo runs more exciting and interesting and fun. It's one of those things that as we release cycles and introduce new mechanics, that'll get woven into it. So yeah, the Exiled Mages are the first of many of that style of mechanic that will show up in Monolith Echoes. Personally, I'd really like to see indications on the map level, on the timeline level, that says like, oh, this echo's being like, there's an Exiled Mage in this echo. Oh, there's a secret mechanic 2 in this echo. And that way you can like actively look for it and find it, and like still have them be potential to show up randomly. But if you are like, if you go into one that says like it's here, it's guaranteed and you can hunt for it. So I'd really like to see that personally. Little icon beside it, you can see it. Related note, we are adding in a search and sort to the, not search and sort, search and filter to the saw it coming, thought I could take one. To the timeline web. So this like be like a little search here with like little toggle buttons that will like turn different rewards and highlight them and stuff like that. So we are adding that. Come up here for these. More XP. I just want that XP right now. Alright, thoughts on giving COF a benefit towards farming boss-only uniques to equalize merchants / COF a little bit. I think it's possible to do. There's a lot of suggestions I've seen with regards to this that we just can't do. And there's some that have been pretty good. So, I mean, there's room for it. We are making some changes to all of the rank rewards for both COF and Merchant's Guild. Not every single reward is getting changed, but like possibly any one of them could be targeted. One big problem with this build is that like I'm just never have potions. I need a self heal. Oh, okay, this is the thing I need to work into this, is some way to heal myself. What's got a self heal on it right now? Does this have like shift does? I know that. We have it. Just shift my health pot. Thank you very much. Enormous. Enormous, that's what it is? Looks like enormous. Yeah, enormous. Thank you very much for the sub. Appreciate you. Glad to have you with us. It's weird, I can read it better when there's the numbers mixed in. All right. Is something going to happen with listed / sold items in the MG Bazaar when the season transition from cycle to legacy? Yes. Do I know what that is? No. I would assume they would all just get transitioned to legacy, like all the stuff. Right? Like, why not? Yeah, unless someone can think of like a good reason not to just transition them. All right, stash tab presets, where you unlock by clicking the ones you want. So you can keep your layout between cycles. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this won't be ready for 1.1. I'm sorry. I know what you're asking here, and I think this is something we'll be hopefully looking to work in down the road a bit. But sorry, this will not be available at 1.1. But I do think it's a really good idea. Just a little too much else going in right now. I'm not using my Falcon more. It's so strong. Just playing lazy mode. All right. Will minions see a buff in the near future? I don't have any information on potential upcoming buffs or nerfs or balance changes. So my answer is I don't know. But I'll read the whole question out. I've got over 250 hours playing Necromancer since launch and have tried every possible version and find that if you're not playing Wraithlord's Harbor or using Dreadshade, you will hit a wall at some point. You can't progress any past. Well, I mean, you'll hit a wall with every build. How about all minion builds without having to use those two previously mentioned options? I mean, we're always looking to diversify and bring up the things that aren't working and bring down the things that are completely overkill. But, you know, I don't have any details on specific changes. Do have enough here. We could go for it. What's our fire and necrotic resistance like? Fire and necrotic's high enough. Fire and necrotic is garbage. When's the next cycle dropping? I don't have a set date yet. We have an internal target. It's not set in stone yet. There will be the usual like pre-patch ramp up that happens. The time between patches, where our goal is roughly 3 to 4 months. And I expect this one to be roughly the same. I don't know where that puts us. I feel like that's like a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. Almost, I guess almost exactly 1 to 2 months, because it's 19th to 21st, 2 months ago. Yeah. I really dig Falconer. Sweet. And the tech puts the pet uses. Any plans to bring that over to crows or other pet builds? No. One of the things we really strive for in Last Epoch is class identity. That's one of our core design pillars. And one of the things that gives Falconer its class identity is the Falcon and the unique attributes that the Falcon itself has. So the way that the Falconer, the Primalist, or the Beastmaster, I guess, and the Necromancer handle their pets are all distinctly unique in their like fundamental mechanics, and that's really important. And it's really important that we maintain that. So we don't have any plans to make the crows unkillable. Sorry about that. Okay, now that arena keys are no longer as valuable gold-wise, any chance to merge the different key nodes? Someone who doesn't play arena, these keys feel worse than a gold reward at the moment. I mean, it's possible. I don't have any details on if we're going to do this or not. I think it's really important to have nodes that you're not like really striving for, you know. Especially if there does end up being elements of the model system that you are like trying to complete that aren't just the objective. and having these nodes that maybe have like another objective inside the node, but doesn't have a objective you want to do, still gives them value. And then you can find combinations of ones that are good, that are even better, and like having this range of how you prioritize your echoes in the web and how you make that more efficient. That process is, I think, an important part of the gameplay loop. And if they're all amazing and you just pick one and go, that takes away, I think, an important step in the gameplay process. You're like that axis that you can optimize on just disappears. I don't like the idea. All right, any chance COF rewards get to scale with corruption somehow? I mean, they do. As it stands, high LP are more easy to access in Merchant's Guild. What's your opinion? I think that Merchant's Guild is always going to be more efficient overall. I think the moment that we make COF as efficient as Merchant's Guild in specific item targeting, I think what we like at that point, it's basically just I think the drop rates would be so crazy different that it would feel like two completely different games. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, Mana Pot's not terrible, but yeah. Alright. Do you plan to implement Vulkan API into Linux version of the game? From what I tested, it suffers in terms of performance, like 30% worse FPS on NVIDIA graphics card, I might say. I don't know. I think there was some talk about it. There was some problem with it or something. I don't know. I know this came up as a discussion recently. I don't remember what the outcome was. I'm sorry. It's at least on the list of discussion topics. Very least. But I know there's some stuff that's specifically happening with Steam Deck right now, because it ended up being so like incidentally popular. Even though we were like, no, it doesn't work. And people were like, nah, we'll do it anyways. All right. Hi, Mike. Will we have a PTR for 1.1, or would it be released as a season cycle release? It'll be released as a season cycle release. We'll still use our community tester program like we usually do, though. Why was Souls from Soulfire Bastion made to expire upon exiting the dungeon? It dramatically makes Soulfire Bastion less appealing to farm now. They've always been that way, or at least it was always intended to be that way. Like the amount you get in the run that you're in is what you have to spend on that run. I take it there was a bug that made that not the case, and we fixed it. Alright, are there plans for adding cosmetics to loot and trade pool? To the loot trade pool, cosmetics? No. In the future, do you think about pet for pickup loot? No. Are there plans to expand on the experimental item loot pool from imprisoned mages? I think there's sort of like vague plans to expand on everything. I think the focus will be on the next system going forward for the next patch, but you know, if there's like a good idea that comes along, or some balance change needs to happen, or like, you know, like the adjustments notwithstanding, probably nothing major as like a big bulk addition. That's what happens when you look over to look at the next question. I can't even do this. Can't even do that. I mean, I guess we just gotta farm this, don't we? This is the problem, is I have to go like look at the stuff I've picked up, because I've got so much stuff I've picked up over the last couple sessions that I just like haven't even tried to see if they're upgrades or not. 'Cause watching me craft is probably not going to be very exciting. We could try though. It's got a little give in it. It's worth a shot. I put despair in to try and seal the Ellie res. It just upgraded it and ate all of the foraging potential, which is what I expected. But more Ellie res. Aha. Which means we can actually probably grab some out of lightning somewhere. There's all the lightning res. Also got that exalted throwing damage affix, so. Do you have any plans on adding monolith layouts? Yep. I don't know if there's any in 1.1, but yeah, adding more monolith layouts is definitely on the list for sure.
Might have to drop something.
Whenever you swap gear with plus skills on it, yep, I know where this is going. Yeah. Sometimes the skills get scrambled. Any plans to fix that or put in a visual aid to help you remember what you had before? Yeah, so there is a bug right now which prevents the visual aid to tell you what you had from showing. Because it does there's whenever you take I don't want to take it off because I'm there's this bug right now. Whenever you take it off and you come back into the skill, it's supposed to flash the letters. It's supposed to turn the letters red and put an outline that highlights the nodes that had points removed from them. So yes, we do have that. I just don't know why it's not working. It's working for years. Years!
Might have to drop something.
Oh. It's actually a fun one. All right. Going on the alternative targets. Going on the alternative targets in echoes. Any chance COF prophecies target specific targets per echo? What? Like fill stability bar, do X nodes to grant exalted items. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's possible, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think like that. Just in general for everyone here, if you've got an idea that you're like, hey, I wonder if they should do this idea. If you suggest it to me, I will immediately forget it as soon as I finish answering the question. And you can go to the forums or the suggestions on Discord and throw them in there. And someone will actually look at them and compile them into a like suggestion pool. No, I refuse to drop something. You drop something, crazy lady. All right, let's go. Just me talking to myself somehow. Oh, that spell necrotic stuff. Hey. Terrible. Just keep going. Let's find more stuff. Can you elaborate on the difference between class pets? I get the variety and flavor, but we have huge outliers. On one hand, we have the Falcon, untargetable and immortal. On the other hand, we have Spriggan that have to revive by standing still. I think the other end is Necromancer, who actively sacrifices their minions. I imagine this in a heavy moment boss fight. At the same time, there's no actual bigger payoff if you manage to pull that off. So in actuality, the Falconer is able to do much higher corruption with less effort. I think this is a humongous logic leap. The mechanical nature of the revive versus immortality of the pets is not the reason why one can do higher corruption than the other. Yeah, it might be a drop in the bucket that contributes to it, but that is not the reason. What am I saying here? I guess the Falconer does get the extra ability too, but the minions that you have, let me start over. The Falconer's Falcon is meant to be an extension of the Falconer itself. So this character and this character are effectively one character. That's the reasoning behind it. So if you're alive, the Falcon's alive. It's one thing. Partially because you have multiple. This is partially the reason is because you have multiple abilities on your bar that you need the Falcon to be alive to use, up to 3. So when 60% of your bar is contingent on this minion being alive, it's really important that minion stays alive, kind of no matter what. And then on top of that, there's thematic differences of this Falcon being able to hide itself, fly away, dodge in combat. It keeps itself alive thematically, I think, as well. The big difference there with the Spriggan, for example, if your minion dies, your bar stays the same. You lose 0% of your active abilities if your minion dies. So having it be this extra ally in combat that you have to help is, I think, really thematically on point and a good mechanical representation of that theme. As the companions, that's what they are. They are companions. They are their own separate, disparate thing. They are it's their own character. Sometimes they get specific names, things like that. They are an individual characters, whereas the Falcon is an extension of you. It's you don't get a name for it ever. The real extension of that is the other end of the spectrum, of that Falconer is the Necromancer, where they are actively sacrificing and using your minions as a resource. They're not even trying to keep them alive. Is the Falconer overtuned? Yes. But that's got, I think, very little to do with the immortality status of the Falcon itself. Because there's the flip side of that as well. A bear can physically take hits for you. It can pull aggro. It can actually be a defensive mechanic for you because it is absorbing some of that enemy ire. Kind of disjointed ramblings, but I hope that hits the main points for you. All right, next question. Hi, Mike. Any plans to do other streams with guests? Oh, yeah. Last week was awesome. I agree. Last week was fantastic. And is it realistic to have some kind of filters for prophecies in COF which could highlight prophecies from one specific dungeon monolith? You'll have to write that one down. I don't understand what it is. Sorry.
Too easy.
Sorry, I don't remember if I answered that whole question. Oh, guests. Yeah, guests. I would like to have guests. Kyle's an easy one because had him on before, and I know, and it's one that gets requested specifically a lot. We've also done 2D a 2D concept artist, which was a big hit. I really want to get our VFX artist in, our like combat designer, our enemy, our boss combat designer. I want to get, there's lots of other people that I want to get in here. You're all a victim of my terrible planning. Sorry. That Falcon does chonk. All right. Any plans to raise the production values of the story content? More voice lines, cinematics, maybe some graphical updates. Yeah, we're always doing things like that. Could there be more generic and fun affixes like plus more projectiles, plus returning projectiles, chaining times, etc.? One of the really big strengths that we have with our skill system is being able to do a lot of really cool stuff with it. One of the weaknesses we have with our skill system is that it's not very generic at all. So the additional projectiles for every single skill that has additional projectiles is handled a little bit differently for every single skill that does it. And not every skill does it. Not every skill has it even as an option. So it's having and this goes for all the different types of things like that. But so if say we had one there's a word for them, affix. One affix that was like plus one projectiles. It would have to be like plus one projectiles for abilities that can have additional projectiles and don't have no projectile nodes taken in their trees. Like it's and we also frequently balance the number of projectiles that an ability can have very carefully, because it often has pretty big performance implications. There's other things that cause issues with the number of projectiles too, and there's things that scale off the number of projectiles. And I think that, and I'm just using projectiles as an example for all these types of things, but some of these more generic, more intense, more transformative generic nodes are really iffy. It would have to be a little bit, something would have to be a little bit more specific about it, I think. Which is why we almost always do it as plus one projectiles with this ability. I could maybe see it be something like on a unique or something that's like plus one projectiles with one of these 4 abilities or something like that. But it's got to be specific to some degree with the way we have things set up right now. All right, next question. You recently mentioned you desire to make unique items apply to Manifest Armor. Yeah, I do. It's not being done right now, just to be clear. But that it was difficult unchecking. Yes. Do you see that being a realistic feature that we could look forward to? Or is it just so tremendous of an undertaking that we shouldn't get our hopes up in that particular change? Unless something changes dramatically, or I get like 6 months to just work on that and nothing else, I wouldn't expect it anytime soon at all. Sorry. Because I think it was brought up as like a pipe dream, or if you could do anything type question, and so I picked something that's not really feasible, which isn't great for hearing about something like that. But yeah, it's what I would do if I could do anything. All right. Any updates on we are seeing a shaman rework? There are no major skill change rework overhauls for shaman coming next patch. I can tell you that for certain. You know, like we're touching things here and there. We're making changes where we can. We're doing like balancing of stuff, but like major reworks are not on the table for 1.1.
That was close.
Like you won't see a new shaman skill. You won't see like some patch on that's like, oh, redid the tree for this skill or anything like that. No. All right. Any idea on issues with certain window types on controller swapping between the joystick, mouse, and D-pad plus R2, L2 to move around? You get stuck in one and can't move to the other. Things like dungeon windows seem to be a different window type. Can't press square to move. Key auto. I have no idea anything about that. Please submit a bug report and we'll do our best to fix it. Alright, on the topic of exiled mages, do you plan to add some mechanics / events with other classes on Echoes, for instance, Forsaken Druid, Demented, Beastmaster? We have the way that they like the storyline specifically behind how the exiled mages got there is very unique to mages. It is definitely feasible to have other mechanics that bring in other classes and things like that. You know, it's I think we'll want to explore some slightly different theming first before going back to that well. But you know, we do try and bring in player
To drop something.
themed ability enemies. This isn't the first time. The arena, the limited arena runs already do this. Custom LE keycaps when? Oh my goodness. I'm literally in the process right now of trying to design. If someone has this, please let me know. I'm literally in the process right now of trying to design. I have a like the most straightforward keyboard ever. But there's these, it's all white LEDs in there, and I want them to glow red. So I'm trying to print a little thing to like go inside this, because it's like etched and you can see like light shining through and all sorts of stuff. But I really want to get a little red insert to go in there. I've got some transparent red filament, and I want to make it glow red instead of glow white. But yeah, sorry, just random aside. Custom LED keycaps, there's nothing in the works for that right now. I'm sorry. Would be cool though. I don't know. I've never been a big custom keycap like crazy stuff on them. I'm like hyper minimalistic. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. It is like the most minimalistic keyboard ever. Oh, it feels so good. All right, hey, I have a question. I had a great time playing your game. Awesome. Spent over 100 hours in it. Epic. And I'm looking forward to some information about new content to come back to. I check every update to the game, and I'm really glad that you're fixing bugs, but haven't seen any information about something new yet. Whether it's regarding the content itself, maybe items, class changes, will there be anything in the near future? So 1.1, which will come out roughly 3 to 4 months after 1.0, as our usual patch cadence, will include a new pinnacle boss system and other stuff. We haven't announced any of the other stuff that is coming with it. When I click sort items in my stash, what parameters is it using to sort other than Tetris? It doesn't seem to sort by super obvious stuff like levels, etc. It starts by taking all of the largest items and putting them in this corner. It then goes and takes the next largest items and tries to put them in this corner. It then goes and takes the next largest item and tries to place it in that corner. That's all it's doing. That is literally it. Oh, it might start in the top left, actually. Sorry. Anyways, when it does this, the reason why question that often happens is why does it change when you click sort? Like why does it reorder itself? The order that when you actually click sort, it actually takes everything and like puts it in a little time box and then starts adding things back in one at a time. It just happens in a single frame. And when it takes them all out, the order that it takes them all out in is different than the order that it puts them all in. And the order that it takes them all out in is the tiebreak order for various sizes of things. So you'll notice that these three idols, the middle one stays the same, and the top two switch back and forth every time. If we drop this and pick it back up again, it reorders them, so there's a new one in the middle. That's it. That's all the quirks. That's it. It needs updating big time. That was the first sort function we added 4 or 5 years ago, and we've never touched it. It needs to be updated desperately. Oh no! That might actually kill me. Next question on topic of minions. It's a minion stream. Let's do this. Do you think the dot damage, pools, beams, etc. they take is on the right level, or are players meant to constantly use the attack move button more? I think that there is a corruption point where all balance is out the window. I think that in general the amount of damage they take from dot areas is fantastic, and once you get into like absurd corruption levels, it doesn't, the scaling rates of the damage versus the damage reduction and health pools of minions doesn't play nice, and you end up with these death pools for minions. This little chunk of stuff. All right. For next cycle between monolith dungeons, improvements, class balance, new classes. No new classes next cycle. Defense changes, endurance, etc. Completely new content. What would you say is the most priority for devs? New content. The Pinnacle Boss system. That's what we keep talking about, right?
Might have to drop something.
Might have to drop something. No way. I really should fix my idols. Morning Frost. Classic. Are you planning to add UI scaling option for items, tooltips, text to make them smaller and larger? It is on the list. We actually I saw someone that just started working on some scaling stuff. I don't know if it's going to be ready in time for 1.0 or 1.1, sorry. Both hands on your keyboard. Right. I don't know any details on what UI scaling stuff we started looking at, but we have started looking at it. I like Thorn's builds. Sweet. Any plans to add reflect affixes? Percent reflect affixes? No. Alright, are we going to get an option to save build presets so we can switch between builds on the same class? We're not adding D3 armor. I could see a potential like template saving system whereby it would like highlight the nodes you want to take and things like that. I've talked about this in the past. There's a bit of a slippery slope there to people just loading in builds and never reading a node on anything, which I think would be a really big disservice to those players. But maybe it's not the end of the world. I don't know. It does help a lot though, because I don't know. Like I personally, the place that I find it, I think it would help is I come back to a build. Like I only play this character on stream. That's the only time I touch it. And like I come back and I'm like, what was I doing again? What was I building? Merch shop when? Oh my god, please keep asking. I'm serious, that's not sarcasm. Please keep asking. But I don't know. All right. Any plans on adding a star option on loot filter rules to see items drop on their respective colors? You mean like minimap stuff? Like so that like have this for like any given exalted item so you can make that show up. I'd really like to. There's some issues with it. We don't have a way to do it cleanly right now. Proper merchant skilled search when we are expanding the functionality of the searching systems in merchant skill. Any reason for 5 abilities over 6? Yep. You've got 4 fingers and a right mouse button that fits real nicely on keyboard control layout. It's also a point where you're able to it's a depth complexity slider. So like having 5 abilities here and versus having that 6th ability here for all the combinations and how they build together and keeping all of these different trees and all of their combinations and potential combinations in your mind when making builds, that complexity level goes up quite a bit. Like the number of combinations spikes pretty hard when you every time you add an extra ability on there as well. And I think the complexity goes up at a much higher rate than the depth goes up at. Being forced to cut things, I think, is a really important piece of the puzzle. You'll often see, like, as an example, sort of a pull from a different game example, you'll often see players that are new to a trading card game. Like, for example, let's talk about Magic, 'cause that's the one I know the best. And they will, so in Magic, most constructed formats allow you to have a card minimum, but not a card maximum in your deck. So it'll be like you're playing standard, you have 60 cards in your deck. But you can also have 200 cards in your deck. That's fine, as long as you can shuffle it. And you'll see a lot of new players show up and they're like, oh, this deck has 63 cards. I couldn't pick what to cut. And that's a really important skill, I think, as well. And I think it also helps, I think limitations breed creativity often. And having too many abilities on your bar means you end up not needing to work out solutions to problems with limited resources as much in build crafting. Having said that, there is probably a little bit more room in the action economy is the wrong word, but it's kind of what I'm trying to get to. In the ability, like when I said like, oh, you got 4 fingers and 1 right click. There's probably room for a little bit more there than what we have. But I think that it's not worth adding another ability here or ability on your bar to do it, but there's probably room to add other things to that. Like for example, we add, whenever you go to a dungeon, we add that D key for that extra ability. I think there's room for things on a similar vein. We'll see what happens. I could be wrong with that. More questions. We can do it.
Might have to drop something.
I just got the producer stuck in my head. All right. What is your opinion on the current economy state of Merchants Guild? I mean, I think it's really unfortunate that the prices inflated so hard with the exploit that happened. I think we've been, you probably haven't really noticed what we've been doing, but we have been reducing inflation quite a lot. It's a difficult thing to just have happen overnight and not screw a lot of people over. So it is something that we are, you know, it's a little subtle how it's happening, but it's definitely happening. And I think it's good that it didn't happen at the start of a season, or start of a cycle. And you know, I think it's good that we got a little bit of experience with this type of situation now, and learn what we can do to remedy it and deal with it and prevent it in the future a little bit better. But it is definitely unfortunate that the prices are so high. I'm curious to know, like, hypothetically, this is just something that, like, this is not something we actively consider doing, for the record. But I'm just curious what people's thoughts on, hypothetically, if we had canceled every listing that was on the bazaar and just giving you all your items back, and then just like nuked everyone's gold by like 90%. You know, like what's the outcome there? Is like, what do people think would be the outcome there? I'm just curious what people, their thoughts on something like that is. This is Mike asking, not EHG Mike asking, for the record. we just cover up my nameplate for a second in game. There we go. All right. Any cool? Yeah, like so. I think the obvious answer is that like everyone freaks out. But it fixes the problem, right? Yeah, everyone would freak out. Yes, that means the rich lose a lot more. I agree, it does. That was intentional. Don't care, don't use any gold. Yeah, fair enough. You submitted a ticket claiming your account had been hacked. Yep. Yeah, I can see that happening. Even if there's like a giant like notice that says this is happening, guaranteed hacked tickets. Yeah. Because I don't read either. Cool. Thanks for indulging me. I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying here. I think it's, I think it would have been insane to do. Just for the record. But just curious what you guys thought. All right. Back on to questions. Any cool new uniques for classes expected in the next cycle? Yeah, there's always new uniques are one of, I think, easiest and most interesting ways to spice up a class. both from a design perspective and a development perspective. I think there's a lot of room for, like quick wins, as we like to say, on for unique items. And yeah, we add new uniques every patch, and this patch will be no different. Probably not a ton of them coming this patch, but definitely some. It's also something that happens that usually happens pretty late in the patch cycle development, because they need less relies on them, which now actually is becoming a little bit harder to do late, because localization relies on them. So all right, will we get new voice lines for our characters in the future? Yeah, probably. Will corruption number appear somewhere while we're in a run? Don't think so. I could see that being something that shows up, like when you're up here. It says like area level 90 corruption. That could be a good place to put it. I think one of the reasons put it in the suggestions channel. I will not remember that. It will get forgotten. If you actually want to see it, this does not count as submitting a suggestion. I think one of the reasons that people keep asking about sockets is because we value gemstones, rubies, diamonds, etc. in real life. So it feels really good to find them in a game. I do agree with that. I hadn't thought of that before, but I agree with that. Ouch. Rip something off my arm here. Shards have no history or value to us other than late game rare ones we need. Would the team be open to the idea of having some kind of small side story about shard history, names, and rarity to give us more excitement / immersion when we find them? Maybe even a shard mining. I mean, that's a cool idea. I think that the intrinsic value of a gemstone as an outside of game value translating into game is a good observation, and adding that type of lore reason in game probably would have little to no impact on that. Because as I demonstrated earlier, I don't know how to read. So it's tricky to fill that void with that mechanic. I agree on the problem, and I like the idea, but I don't think that the idea fixes the problem. Alright, on templates, max roll build tool already does a per level slider. It would only bring it into the game and maybe eases up import/export for people that don't want to use external tools. Yep. Whether or not a tool exists outside of the game doesn't have a ton of impact on if we put it in the game or not. It definitely has some. There are things where we're like, well, we never want to add this to the game, and then someone adds a tool for it, and we're like, yeah, let's add it then. I think something like this, though, the reason it's a downside, the people who would probably be most negatively affected by it probably aren't negatively affected by the external tool to the same degree. So I don't think it quite carries the same weight. Maybe, I don't know. I know a lot of people don't like them. I love getting little arena echoes. And good news, the search, you can search by the word, because all of the arenas have arena in the title. You can see the top right says desert arena up there. So if you search for arena in the search bar, it will show you the arena ones, so you can. You got it, guys. Good job. Not what we were looking for. Also not what we were looking for. All right. How are we doing for time? We're halfway through. That's pretty good. Hi. Any plans to macros client? It already works almost perfectly via wine wrappers, but native client will be awesome. Oh, any plans to... Oh, Mac OS client. Oh my gosh. See, I told you I can't read. Mac OS doesn't even register as a thing in my world, apparently. It's all lowercase, so that's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. You know, I don't have any details on potential upcoming platforms we expand into. I haven't heard anything, whispers or otherwise, about a macOS client at all in the last several years. Sorry. Maybe someone's talking about it in a dark room that I'm not invited to or something, but as far as I know, macOS is not in the conversation right now. Ding, there it is. Ding, there it is. Hey, perfect timing. Thank you very much. Visit Nepal for subscribing. I bet it's beautiful. Plans on having separate leaderboard ladder on COF and MG alongside with shared leaderboards. I think I don't think we have plans for this, but I'm pretty sure it does show who's on which, right? I could be wrong there. It's a little weird because you can switch. It showed it. I know we talked about having it show it. Just look, couldn't I? Guess it doesn't show it. Why is it not loading? Oh, I saw a screenshot. This is gonna tell you nothing because I don't know what it was for. I saw a screenshot of a mock-up that had something here. It had like these were pushed over a little bit, and it had like a window mocked up here, like full height. I don't know what it was. Maybe we're adding that to it. There's something going there. I think. Is that Thorns? Who wanted the Thorns affix? There it is right there, Thorns. I know it's the wrong thing, I'm sorry. Plans on having... Oh, yeah, it's that. Any plans to expand or find the ladders rankings for Arena? Yes, I don't know what they are. There's, I think, a good chance of new ladders showing up as well at some point. It's weird. I don't know why, but like, I think, and this could just be like confirmation bias hitting me hard, but I feel like I'm seeing a lot of mage idols and a few primalist idols, but like no sentinel and no acolyte idols at all. Is that like, am I crazy here? I feel like that's been happening all day. Go up there. Are you gonna add any potions beside the health potion? Probably not. We do try to we like having more effects on potion use, and so like adding in a mana potion, so to speak. But we always put those effects on the belt, so your belt is your potion slot. We did experiment for a while actually having basically a D3 potion system where there's like a physical, like a potion modifier object that drops, and like you equip that potion into your potion slot, and all of the potions you pick up, potion charges you pick up, like are that new potion that has some extra special effect. And we were trying to find a bit of a niche for belts to live in mechanically, and that's when we bestowed upon them the potion mechanic identity. How are bugs prioritized for fixing? Oh, there's a question and a half. There are many general gameplay UI bugs that affect things like entire skills or passives not working properly and have existed for years, but the smaller bugs get fixed away before these other more significant ones. Okay. The main thing with prioritizing bugs, there's a few axes. One of the big things is I guess the big categories are how many dev hours or like just people hours is this going to take to fix? How much time is this going to take to fix? And I don't mean like how many weeks is it going to take to fix. Like if 10 people work on this for 1 hour, that's 10 hours. If one person works on this for 10 hours, that's 10 hours. So how many hours is this going to take to fix? That's the cost. That's the upfront cost. And then
Easy. Too easy.
how many people does this affect? Does this affect 1% of the player base? Does this affect 100% of the player base? You know, like this has a big impact. If every single person's text above their name, other people have that turned off, I think. But if every single, person has a little red star that shows up above their head, it affects everyone. But it's not a huge deal if it's just a tiny little red dot. That's not a, and then the third axis is severity. So how big of a deal is this? I can't log in. Top tier bug. Super important. The hue on my nameplate is a slightly wrong hue. Not a top tier bug. So they get graded on severity, reach, and cost. And then they get distributed out to the people who need to work on them, and they pick the bugs in order of those criteria and fix them as quick as they can. So if you have this is the other thing that changes the order of when bugs actually get released into a build is say you have 20 bugs, and they're 20 dive bomb bugs. It's really hard to split those up between multiple people. They kind of all have to go to one person because there are certain objects you can do some split up, but usually it's best just to all go to one person because these are all so interconnected that they depend on each other. So if someone's fixing a bug with this node and someone else is fixing a bug with this node, they'll probably end up doing some of the same work twice. So you have to then give all of these bugs to one person. Okay. Say you get 10 bugs in about one topic and one bug in about another topic, and all 10 of those bugs, like you get 10 skill bugs and one sound bug, let's say, and the 10 skill bugs are all more severe and more urgent to fix and have a bigger reach than the one sound bug. But because you've given 10 skill bugs to one person and one sound bug to one person, that one sound bug that is lower severity, all that stuff gets fixed before those other 9 skill bugs that are waiting, because they have to go into their own little queue of who's working on it. So this is there's so much more that goes into this, of the logistics of doing this. This is why there are people who have project management jobs that keep us on track and keep us working and keep us like being efficient. So this is that's one thing. Prefab checkouts can stall bugs as well. So say I've got a bug where the wording of this node is wrong. I've got to change the wording of this node. I can't change the wording of that node until someone else finishes changing. Say someone else is working on a rework of the multi-shot tree, and they're changing all sorts of stuff in here. I've got to actually wait for them to finish and push and be done with the bugs for that rework before I can change the wording of that node on the other tree. And so sometimes you get these blocking elements of like, hey, you're working on this, it's preventing me from working on that. And so we try to streamline that and try to make sure people don't run into each other and things like that. But sometimes it happens. And then you get into situations where there's a fix on our newer branch. So we're developing 1.1. And we're also developing 1.0 hotfixes at the same time. And we add a new feature to 1.1 that if we try and fix a bug that's related to that new feature, we try and fix the bug for 1.0 that's live. But if we fix that bug for 1.0 now and then go to try and merge that fix into 1.1, we actually have to redo it with the changes that had been made on the 1.1 branch. So we're doubling our work. So we have to say to ourselves then, okay, this might be a bug that's been around for a while, we can fix it, but it's literally half as much work if we only fix it once and wait for the next big patch to come out instead of releasing it in a hotfix now. What else? There's so many things that like that will push and pull a bug around and where it gets allocated in priority and all that sort of stuff. So like there's so many of these things. I'm sure I'm missing so many things that can cause these to move around as well. So it's I know it can sometimes be frustrating when you see like, hey, here's a bug that's been around for a long time, and here's another bug that's brand new and less bad or something like that, and it got fixed first. Like, why? It's frustrating. Hopefully that ramble rant thing that I just did will give some insight as to why it might be that way. There's another 100 reasons why it could be that way too. That Falcon hits so hard. I love it.
Might have to drop something.
Never. Alright, can we please have a tag system for stash tabs, like PoE, like affinities? Yes. So when we have an item sent to the stash, it goes to the specific tab that is same tag as the item. I love that in PoE. I would love it in LE too. Yeah. Sure. Not right now. What was your favorite feature that eventually got cut from the game? We had weapon swaps at one point. We had a weapon swap where you like switch in this different weapon there. It did exist. I still have a version of it. Never forget. What was your favorite feature? It said that any plans to improve character movement and responsiveness. Also skill queuing and animation canceling to traversal skills. I mean, there's a certain point that you get into with any ability that you can't cancel it once it's at that. There's like a window. There's a 3 stages to an ability. Whoop. Ability timeline. This is button press. You push the button, and now there is a little delay, and these points happen differently for every ability. Put them all here. This is push the button, and then it's doing some sort of like lead up casting animation, something like that. There's a VFX happening, and then the ability object gets created. It's here, woohoo! The ability exists in the world. That ability object does its thing. For a movement ability, for example, that is causing you to move. For fireball, that's like a fireball existing, whatever. But in the casting process of it, there's a point where, so like this is still like you're still in your casting animation. This is where casting animation ends, and you're chilling again. There's a point here for every ability where it's called our set a low priority ratio, where you can use a high priority skill, and it will snap you out of like this whole section here. You can use a high priority ability and it will snap you out of the animation. This does exist in the game already. Walking is a high priority skill. All movement abilities are high priority skills. They will all break you out of this early. So you can, by stutter stepping, actually increase your DPS a tiny bit with some skills. Yeah. I should probably check that last statement I just made about increasing your DPS by stutter stepping. We may have put something in that means you can't actually start a new ability until this point. No, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you can start a new ability here. So I'm just going to make it go faster. I don't know if you can. Doesn't really matter right now. Anyways, there's no queuing right now. The abilities that are held down are kind of in that queue. So like if you're holding down one ability and you start holding on another one, it does get queued in. So I started holding on my right mouse and then started holding on my left or my Q, and my mana is gonna screw me over here. It will use the Q before it uses Acid Flask again if you're holding them both down. So there's kind of a priority for next ability queuing that does exist. But while you're in that first section of an ability, if you press another ability in that section, it won't wait for the first one to finish and then use the second one. You do have to be pressing the new ability when you are able to use it still. What do you think of the better nerf COF meme on early Reddit? I haven't seen it. I love the memes in general. At a quick glance, I don't even see one. On like the third page here. I don't know what you're talking about, sorry. Oh, you mean, oh, I know what you're talking about. The people who are convinced that we're nerfing COF based on MG habits. I think jokes are all fun and games, and I hope that new players don't believe it as real. I hope they realize that they are jokes, or if they aren't jokes and you're making those jokes but don't realize it's a joke and think it's real, it's a joke. It's not real. Have you ever thought about including glyphs, runes, and other materials as in-game currency to keep the market and farming alive and motivated? No. I mean, we've thought about it, but we don't plan on doing it. Is there an ETA on more weapon or new skill cosmetics? Skill cosmetics are still gonna be a minute before they get here. Weapon cosmetics are loosening restrictions a little bit, I think. And I think they're trying to add some more at the same time. I don't know if more are coming in at the same time or not. But we are working on it. Any HP regen build buffs coming next season? I don't have any information on the status of potential upcoming balance changes in the game. If you have a suggestion you'd like to leave for a potential upcoming balance change, please submit it to our suggestions channels. Ward OP. Do you plan to address wasted skill points on skill conversion nodes where an item or class passive has already converted the skill's element and scaling, but you still need the specialized node behind it? Perhaps the node already at 1 out of 1 but grayed out if you haven't reached the adjacent node yet. I think what that's referencing is if there's a loop like this, and like this wasn't lighting up properly to get this node, but like you had to come this way to activate it, where like the loop doesn't work but bidirectionally properly. Every situation where that happens is just a bug, and we will fix them. Please report them. Hi Mike. Hello. How you doing? Good, thanks. Oh my gosh, I taught my kid to like wink and make that noise, so he goes like, now, and I didn't tell my wife, and he did it to her, and he was just like, he walked over, and he's just like, and she lost it. It was great. We're gonna give this a shot. All right, is there a detailed roadmap to 1.1 and beyond? And also a balanced patch. I mean, we always strive for a balanced patch. We don't have a detailed roadmap right now. I'd really like to get a roadmap up. We've been burned so many times by trying to add roadmaps. Every time we put a roadmap up, like we've tried different versions of roadmaps, and like no matter how many like disclaimers and caveats and warnings we put on there, it gets like misconstrued and twisted every single time. And then we like make it super vague. And people are like, there's not enough info on this, and we're like, because you misuse the info we give you, and then we make it more detailed again. It's just this like cycle, so we kind of gave up on them a little bit. Maybe we're doing something wrong with them, I don't know, but I've been quite frustrated with the outcome of the roadmaps we've given out in the past. I'd love to figure out a way to make them work better. So we'll see. Alright, how do you feel about weird outliers like Fire Aura, Shadow Daggers, and Spark Charges? Well, there's two different categories there, just to be clear. Fire Aura is a completely different beast than Shadow Daggers and Spark Charges, for starters. While their behavior is pretty consistent, it's not consistent and predictable. Oh, it's consistent with itself and predictable once you've messed with them for hours on end. They can be very confusing for new players, as triggered skills scaling isn't really explained up front to the player. I agree, they are confusing. I do not know how Shadow Daggers and Spark Charges work exactly. I know the basics and can play with them and everything, but like people ask like complex questions about like how exactly certain interactions happen, and I'm like, oh, let's just go. I'll like go into the editor and just like crank certain stats up and just record what happens, you know, or like go into the code. And I'm like trying to decipher the ancient hieroglyphics that are this. No, it's perfectly well laid out and everything, but I just get so lost with Spark Charges and Shadow Daggers. Fire Aura is really straightforward and easy to explain. It's just its own skill. Pretend you can draw. Pretend Fire Aura is one of these skills. Done. That's Fire Aura. Easy. In general, we probably should have more detailed information as to how triggered abilities scale in our game guide.
Might have to drop something.
But I want more exalted stuff.
Might have to drop.
Geez, search function be better. That is one thing that's bothered me with the search function this whole time, is that it leaves that vertical row there. It's because most things are 2x2 or too wide. It leaves that there. Ugh. Anyways, how would people be negatively affected by an in-game build templates? If you're not using a build planner, it wouldn't make much difference. and if I'm trying stuff out, I'd rather have my next experiments out within the game. My next experiments out within the game, I think is what it says. For the build followers, it would not be a downside either. I agree that the people who are already using builds and people who are already making their own builds, it would be a positive thing. I think that there's a subset of players who would spend even less time reading nodes. And all of those players, that the amount of time they spend reading nodes, if that drops to basically zero, there's a huge amount of knowledge, of game knowledge, that just vanishes. And if something ever goes wrong with your build, or you're in a transitional stage in your build, or something gets nerfed, or you find a new item that you want to work with, or there's a lot of different things that can cause variance in a build and deviations from a build planner that would not be possible for a person who has never read any nodes. And would be very difficult for a player who's read almost no nodes. And I think a big part of which players would want a build planner and want that experience, and which ones would have that experience thrust upon them, is dependent a little bit on. Oh, I apparently wanted those. They're nice with the throwing attack speed, but I might as well just
Might have
crush
to
them.
drop something. Might have to drop something.
I wish it would let us pick things up onto the cursor like it did in D2. That's what I was trying to do there. I'm like, well, if I open my inventory, I can just pick it up onto the cursor. Old habits die hard. I feel like most of us have been there. That moment where you have like no space in inventory because it's all charms. You kill Bale, you're spam clicking, everyone's trying to grab all the stuff, and you click up and you can see the outline of an object on your cursor. And you know what it is based because you saw a drop and you saw a click and you know that you got that item, so you've got it sitting there. But the shape of everything in your inventory means that you have nowhere to physically place it. And if you drop it, that other guy that's standing right there that sees you not moving or typing is gonna pick it up. And he's just chilling there. He's like, "You're gonna drop it. I know you're gonna drop it. You're gonna drop something good. You're gonna switch it out with something in your inventory and drop that. I'll take that. Or you're gonna drop that item that's sitting on your cursor right now." And there's that standoff that happens, and you're just like, how long are we each gonna sit here and wait for this to happen? The record's like 2 hours or however long it takes. The game servers just auto close. Definitely been on a very long standoff match there. I don't know what the item was, but I remember getting into that match with someone. Really just drop some stuff. Just better. That's funny. Right. Any plans to add a token for idle slots for alts? I find it tedious to do the side quests on many characters, and farming would help this sort of Ramalani's gift in feel. But if not, what is the philosophy? We don't have plans for it at the moment. I'd say the philosophy behind it comes down to, it's this character progression feel thing, and this actually ties into a lot of what I was talking about that I don't know if I finished the last question properly or not, but that never reading a node situation, that not going through the that process of like leveling your character. This is kind of the whole reason why the campaign is just part of the leveling process at all. Still is a big part of that is the why can't my character just be level 90? We want to give you a chance to like the speed and order that we unlock abilities in, and that your passives get unlocked, and your mastery gets unlocked, and your mastery ability gets unlocked, and all sorts of things that happen, that order and that pace and that those levels they happen at, where they happen in the campaign, what you're doing in the campaign when they happen, all these things are all very carefully placed so that there's a specific learning process that happens with that character. Just having that all happen takes that process away, takes that that knowledge and that learning experience away from the player. So that's one of the factors that contributes to it. Okay, super serious, ultra relevant question here. Can we expect more bees in the future, please? Only because your question rhymed, sure. I don't know. I would be surprised if we never did. There's like unreleased, uncompleted like bee things in the game that we just like someone like started to make and like it just never got finished, and so it gets brought up enough and little things drip feed in over enough time that like I'm sure something else will show up. Any thoughts on having stash tabs provide a 0.0x% damage multiplier based on total count? Yes, it's a terrible idea. I'm sorry. I no. No. I'm sorry to be so matter of fact about it, but like no, sorry. Any plans to enable online bought MTX items in offline for the account? I'd love to. I don't know if we're going to or not. It's still up in the air. Any plans for a more difficult leveling campaign option? I mean, that we did add those boots at the start of the game for that.
Might have to drop something.
So go grab those boots. If you don't know what those boots are, I don't think we can actually. Can we teleport to them? Fine. Where are we down here? All right, can we just walk backwards out of Keeper's Camp and go there? I feel like we should be able to. There's a little cave that you can get them right at the start of the game. Google it. The boots, they're called like veterans boots of something, and it like makes you do less damage and take more damage. I think it's actually a really good way to do the campaign because you do feel that difficulty. 25-minute warning, Mike. Oh, thank you very much. I think in 5 more minutes we're gonna stop taking questions from chat. So, if you want to ask me a question, please get it submitted in the next 5 minutes before at 35 minutes left in the stream. We'll probably stop taking questions. It's usually what we do. I wonder if I actually have those boots in my stash. I might check that. There's like right at the start of the game, you're like going through a cave, and then like the cave like turns to the right, and then it goes north as you exit the cave, and where it turns right before it turns north, you like smash open a wall, and there's a bear, and you kill the bear, and then you smash open a wall, and there's a bear, and you kill the bear, and they got boots. Yes, there's 2 walls and 2 bears. All right. In regards to cycles, will it be an end game thing only, or will it be added from the very start of the game for everyone to enjoy from level 1? Well, so this cycle, the primary mechanic is a pinnacle boss system, and so that's going to be a pretty end game specific thing. There are elements of it that do start earlier, like it's not just once you finished everything else, this starts type thing. So like there's a lead up, and I don't want to go in too deep on it, but like there's stuff that happens before the very end and such, but the focus is on the pinnacle boss system at the end. Like that's what so it's all building up towards.
That was close.
I ran out of buttons for unspecialized skills. Any plans on having the QWER buttons on a wheel system so I can use more of them? For example, I use the mouse wheel to a skill bar too with different button skills. No. In regards to the search function while looking at your bank, is there a way for everything that was found in the search to move to a tab, given if it has room all at once? That's a cool idea. Good thing to put in suggestions thread. That would be so hard to do. The way the searching works to keep it efficient would be so tricky. Is it possible? I think the search. Yeah, I think it probably is possible. I think the search would have to like tell you how many items, or like how many item slots it's taking up. So like take all the items and like figure out the total number of slots. Like this would be 8. This would be 4 and 4 and 1 and 3. You know, and like add those all up and tell you how big the volume of things you've searched for is, and like have a limit on the number of things that can auto move or something. That's a cool idea. It's a very cool idea. I have no idea if it's possible. Why aren't loot filters server side or in the cloud? When I switch to my Steam Deck, I have to remake my loot filter, and it's annoying. Maintaining 2. Yeah, I feel like Steam Sync should sync those, yes. Right? I mean, obviously not considering you're using Steam Deck. I'm quite surprised Steam Deck doesn't auto-sync that. I think it's probably just a product of how we initially implemented it before multiplayer existed. Full. I'll show you, and it's full. It's full. I swear I'm gonna look through all this one day. Be so you show up to stream, it's gonna be so organized. So organized. You won't even know what hit you. All right, I think that's it. I'm calling off the cutting off question taking. We don't actually have that many stored up, do we? Right here. Oh, we got lots of. We don't even keep taking them. We have 20 minutes left, and we have less than 20 minutes of questions for sure. For sure. You've seen Workaholics, for sure. Love it. It's been a while since you shared a teaser with us. That's true. It has been a while. It's almost like someone's on vacation that usually gives me the teasers. Worst. I'll try and get them for you. I'll try and get something for next week. I got nothing this week. I'm sorry, but I think we're getting to that point as well where there's like we're getting close to like we're approaching spoiler season. So you know I think that'll be a good time to start moving those back in. Considering boots is such an important slot, any chance it could be a ring instead? We actually really intentionally made it to be boots, partially because it's such an important slot. It does have scaling movement speed on it, so you do get plenty of movement speed from your boots still. I personally like. I'd really love to see a full set of it, where it's just like. Yeah, I'd like to actually be a set. That's what I'd love to see. I don't think we'd ever do it, but I'd love to have it as like every single slot set. I'm talking like it's a helmet, chest, weapon, offhand, neck, ring, belt, like 2 different rings, gloves, like just the whole thing. That's what I'd love to do. It'd just be insane to the point where like you just can't move basically. I think that'll be fun. Adding in just the second option, I think, is reasonable. Hey, just gotta complain about not getting acolyte stuff into there. Crit. Let's go. Let's crit one, yeah. First. All right, next question. What game did you play the most outside of LE? I mean, it changes. I think the thing I've probably sunk the most number of hours into is Diablo 2. Just countless hours. The Civ franchise after that, it's a little, like if you counted D2 separate from LOD and PD2 and POD and D2R, like if you counted those all as separate things, probably like Civ 6 is actually more, but Diablo 2 in general, the number one spot. I like how you made armor affect magic damage. I think this is referring to dot damage. What prompted this decision? Oh, or maybe it's not about dot damage. Maybe it's specifically about like elemental, like more than just physical damage. How it affects these ones. I think if that's the question you're asking, I think it just comes down to a simple, like idea of, you know, if someone is throwing a flaming axe or a flaming ball at you, having like armor will help with that, you know, like not having that fireball hit your skin is good, right? So it's just, I think it's the base reason is mostly just a like logic reason, which isn't 100%. I think part of it as well is that the distinction on incoming damage, knowing the type is important, but knowing that you're strong, like your defenses are strong versus of hits versus not hits, is an easier split-second decision to make on like, ooh, can I try and tank this or not? And not having to evaluate, like, is that orange or red as it's coming towards you? Like, is it physical or fire damage? You know, like, yeah. Will there be a battle pass with cosmetic rewards coming with Cycle 2? No. Sorry if you wanted one, not happening. Do you have any ratio of how many players play online versus offline? I believe we do. I don't know what it is, I'm sorry. Sorry if this has been asked. It seems like some of the classes have to split stat for different skills for the same archetype. Is this going to be just how it is? Yeah, I think that there's, I think if every class was, I feel like we're talking attributes like vitality, strength, dexterity, intelligence, attunement. If every class was just like, here's your main stat, stack it, go. I think that's a lot less interesting than having ways to weave them together and be efficient and effective still. So it just comes down to having more options, more versatility, more ways to play. This guy has some health to him. What is the design thought behind the number of item slots? LE has more than Diablo 2, but is a lot less than, for example, Grim Dawn. What thoughts go into that? Yeah, this was a a very long conversation that happened over several years, and The slots changed many times. More in the start. They didn't actually change much after that, but the conversation has come up quite a few times since then too. So it's kind of big. We got a little time here, but I think the core of it is that we didn't want to have an overwhelming number of, like, there's some point where there's too many slots, there's too many possible combinations, there's too many there's just too many options, and we wanted to limit the number of possible options to a point where it was manageable. But at the same time, we wanted to have and we wanted to have them all be have a thematic and mechanical niche for them to sit in, or be just like obviously something you need. Like you need a helmet slot. It's just, you gotta have a helmet slot. And there's some game that's probably fantastic that doesn't have a helmet slot that I just insulted. I'm sorry, but for our game, when we were looking at the design, we're like, we have to have a helmet slot, kind of just no matter what. And like you have to have weapon slots, you have to have rings. Like there's certain just like mainstays that are just kind of just there no matter what. But then we wanted to try and have like thematic and mechanical niche that the other slots that maybe were less obvious or just sort of like gimmies to fit in and feel good still. So I'm talking about like belts, boots, gloves, and relics here, specifically relics for the most part. With regards to how many like different weapon bases and like combinations of main offhand stuff, a lot of that comes down to like animation scope and like we'll be adding in more things like that as time goes on. I'm realizing that fire damage is one of my weak points. Got her, Otter. You might have seen this question before, maybe. But any idea of updating, adding stuff to the loot filter? Yeah, we're working on it. There is some stuff to the loot filter coming next batch. Just got assigned some stuff actually. Will we see some sort of system for skills after hitting level 20? I hope. I hope. We are aware of a little bit of a engagement drop off that happens with skills mid campaign when they hit mid late campaign, when they're all hitting 20, and then you get into monoliths and you kind of just like got your points, and got lucky there. Oh my goodness, no, don't just pick those up before we die. Postal 20 skill stuff. Yes. Okay. So there is this point where your skills hit 20, and you're like your skills hit 20, and you're like, well, I'm kind of like done with this system. I don't need to actually go in here and look at this stuff anymore, because I've like picked up my skills and that's there. And I can just kind of ignore it. It's done. And you kind of walk away from the system on your character, unless you're changing your build up, which does happen and is great for that. But if you go through, you level all the way through, and you pick all your stuff up, and you get to end game when you decide not to change it. That's your build, and you're done. And this whole system kind of vanishes. It kind of just disappears because you've got your skills. They do what they do, and you don't have to touch it anymore. Passives, you still get a drip feed until 100, so there's that like from 55-ish, 60-ish, around 60 I think is where it stops. 60 to maybe it's a little later, maybe it's like 75. But anyways, in those last 25 skills levels, you are still getting passive points, so this system doesn't vanish. And this is something that we've been looking at and considering and debating all sorts of stuff on what's going to happen with it. So there is this, there's this kind of this hole in your build crafting and build development experience where you miss your character. There's this hole in your character progression where skills as part of that character development and exploration disappear from view. And you get a little bit of a resurgence when you start getting items like this, like +3 Falconer. Great, I have a few more skills I can toss in. And we've been really careful with the total number of plus skills you can get on any given skill based on the percentage of points you can invest in an overall tree. There needs to be points in the tree that you're not going to go to. So there's definitely this gap in, because 20 points happens pretty quick overall, and I think there's this gap. I'm really dancing around this question. I'm struggling to answer it properly here. I think there's this gap in there's this fall off with your skills where we still want them to be part of that leveling process, that experience, that gameplay experience as you make your way through the Monolith of Fate, as you make your way through dungeons, as you make your way through the Pinnacle system. Still having your skills, having opportunities to evolve past that point is important to us, and is something that we're going to continue to look into to find a way to do that nicely. And fun and exciting and smooth. So yeah, there's room for skills to evolve still as a system, I think, as we get in those last 25 levels or so. Not at 1.1. Sorry. All right. I feel like this is the first game I've played in a long time that is breadcrumby, meaning I get introduced to things, and every time I learn something new, my brain explodes with possibilities. Is this by design? I almost said this is by design. Is this by design? Yes. Or is it a happy accident of creating a cohesive experience? PoE, I consistently have to look stuff up. Diablo is so simple, I never get surprised. How do you reach such a sweet spot? So you're absolutely spot on, and we don't do it perfectly, and we're still working on it. But this is something that is very carefully thought about and discussed. The order that skills get unlocked in, the levels that it happens at, and the levels that this happens at, the order that which ones are before the lock line, all that sort of stuff. Which systems get unlocked. Forging, for example, is available from the moment one, but we never tell the player about it until they've gotten to a point in the campaign where we know they've gotten some materials, and then it shows up as a quest, and the idols shows up as a quest as you get to the end of Act 1, and this and then this like slowly unlocks. It opens up, and you get more of these, and you get bigger ones and different shapes and things like that. Like that slow add-on. You start getting your blessings once you get into end game. Things like this. This is the rate that these are added on at as you level is extremely intentional, and we don't do it perfectly yet, and we are still working on it. So yeah. Still working on that. Thank you, Fitz. It's perfect. I'm just going to grab a couple here. We have 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. I'll grab a couple questions directly from chat here. Any date for Cycle 2 yet? Not yet. Roughly 3 to 4 months from 1.0. Which puts us roughly 1 to 2 months from right now. Any plans for new classes in the future? Oh yeah, we got plans for new classes in the future. Let me tell you, we're gonna go die to this boss. It's gonna be fun. We do have plans for new bosses in the future. New bosses. We do have plans for new bosses in the future too. We do have plans for new classes in the future. You'll see new mastery classes first. That chunked. Which is better, fire or necrotic? Necrotic. So I want to get one of them down quickly. And new mastery classes will be first. We do have vague plans for new base classes as well. But the primary focus will be on new masteries to begin with. It'll be a while before new base classes or even new masteries are added. They're a pretty huge undertaking. We've got some more systematic updates to the game that need to happen first. Hey, that went really well. What? Okay. Armor. Yes, we're taking armor. You kidding me? Our defenses are hot garbage. Oh, hey, was that all three? No. Dang. Got really excited for a moment there. Just two. Almost. So close. Any plans for Falcon skins or Ballista skins? Oh, yeah. You may notice that there is a skills thing down here. I'll go right there. More stuff. No capes. Will we see some sort of system for... Oh, yeah, I already answered that. Oh, yeah, that's all the questions, I think. Anything I miss? Do you guys have any plans on making another game? Maybe another genre? I would love to explore more games and more genres and things like that. We're still really heavily focused on Last Epoch and will be for a while. But yeah, there's tons of other games and other genres so we're all extremely passionate about RPGs, which I think is hopefully pretty obvious. And I think there's a lot of us have other genres we're also very passionate about too. Like some of us really love shooters, or some of us really love card games, or some of us really love strategy games, or some of us really love there's all sorts of these other genres that we have passions in as well. And like personally for me, 4X strategy games and card games, physical and digital, those are two huge things for me personally, and I'd love to explore some of those from a design and dev perspective. I think that'd be amazing. It's definitely not anywhere on my radar personally to do anything else anytime soon. Last Epoch's got my full attention, because it's great. Sorry if it was answered earlier, but any plans to improve the stash system? Yes, we do. And with that, I think it's time to end. Well, I hope you had fun. I know I did. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more questions, more answers. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you all. If I did not answer one of your questions, I apologize. It was not intentional. I will do my best to answer it next time. Or if you'd like, we do have an Ask the Devs channel in our Discord. You're more than welcome to stop by and ask there, and I'll probably answer it later tonight. Until then, I hope you all have a wonderful time and drink lots of water, and all the bosses you try and take down drop exactly the loot you want. That's what I wish for you in your lives. Oh, we got someone playing hardcore. Let's go say hi to someone playing hardcore. I'm too scared. I did a little bit. I used to play Diablo 2 hardcore when I was younger. And like, I just can't do it anymore. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.